Adventure is in my blood. Finding treasures big or small and having fun is what it's all about. With my wife Melissa and our 3 kids, life is pretty full. But there isn't a mountain we can't climb together. This isn't your ordinary antique store. My name is Alex Archbold and this is Curiosity Inc.
I'm home, honey.
Hi everyone and welcome to today's frosty episode. It is a balmy minus 35 degrees Celsius here today. I went to go take my trusty old ambulance to get that going, but the battery was dead. So I thought, okay, well, I'll borrow Melissa's car, which is a Volvo, and its battery was dead. So it was kind of like a race to see which one could get charged up the fastest. The Volvo one, and so I'm taking that one today. Not such a bad thing, it has all-wheel drive. I'm off to go pick up a very rare radio. I am bundled up because it's freezing cold outside, but that's not going to stop me from having some fun today, and hopefully neither for you guys watching at home. So let's go brave the Arctic conditions here and go have a little fun. There is a lot of traffic on the road today. It's a Sunday. It's not like, you know, probably a lot of people have to go to work. I think it's almost defiance. Like, I'm not going to let this weather stop me from going outside. Well, that's what I'm doing today. I made a commitment to this guy to be there at 1 o'clock, and I'll be darned if I'm not going to meet my commitment. Even if it meant having to boost both of my cars this morning, it's going to happen. It's a dangerous time to be out. There's a car flipped over. Okay, I think I'm here. So make sure they're home. So, Greg, thanks so much for having me by your house today, and I can kind of tell looking around that you are into radios. So how'd you get started in this business?
Well, I was always in electronics, took electronics in school, and at an auction many years ago bought a tube radio at the sale and thought what an amazing thing, and brought it home, got it to work, but never really did much until about 30 some years ago. My wife brought home a radio from a garage sale and thought this would be a great winter project for you. And thousands of radios and tubes later, here we are today.
So it's all your wife's fault, I guess.
It's all my wife's fault, yeah.
Well, it's nice when they inspire us with our hobbies. You've got a few interesting pieces here in the front. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this guy right here?
This is Philco's top-of-the-line radio for 1938. It's a 38 model 690. It has 2 chassis, a tuner chassis and a power chassis, 20 tubes, and 7 speakers in this one.
So that would have been a pretty deluxe model.
That was as deluxe as you could get. And it was also considered high fidelity at the time.
I like how you changed the dial and selector with what looks almost like a phone dial, but that's pretty curious. And this comes down, does it?
It does roll. It's a roll top, yeah, like a roll top disc. And it's a little
sticky,
stiff.
but
this radio is not restored.
Really? It's in fantastic condition.
I have not restored this yet. This is as found.
And years ago, before TV, families would all sit in front of this, listening to the radio, like listening and watching it as almost as if it was a TV.
This was the centerpiece of the family room back in the day. Yes.
You got your news, you know, you think this piece is what you said from the 30s, right?
38.
38. So World War II, somebody was listening to all the activities on that radio?
You bet. This also has 5 shortwave bands as well, so you would have got worldwide reception.
And that was important at the time to find out what was happening all around the world.
Yeah.
And I saw next to you, now I was eyeing up one of these recently. I was in Ontario, and I've kind of always wanted one. And here you've got one of these. They're a rocket lamp, but what's the official name for these?
The Mitchell, I believe it is Lumitone.
Lumitone, that's the one, yeah. Now, and there was some debate whether that was the original shade or not. I always thought these would look good with sort of a mid-century space age kind of lampshade on them, but...
Well, the only picture that I can find is an earlier version, and it definitely has a different shade. But the owner that I got this from, he thought it was the original shade.
Well, it's in great shape, a neat piece.
I had the shade recovered from a fellow down in Ontario.
It looks good. You've got another Philco.
This is again a 38 model. This is the second. The first one we saw was top of the line. This was the next step down.
Not as many speakers.
15 tubes and 1, 2, 3, 4 speakers in this. 5 speakers.
Huh. You've got one of these Sunwapta ashtrays. I have a friend that works at CFR and he collects those things.
Well, just flip it up and video for him. There's a bunch of signatures on it on the bottom.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And I don't recognize the names.
Oh, he will know all of them.
Yeah.
He'll know all. Bill Fowler. Yeah, those are probably all old too. This is from the 50s.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah. No, I will, I'll send that over to him. He'll think that's really neat. And then I saw this. Somebody actually wrote me about one of these not that long ago in the States. They had one.
This is Canadian-made DeForest Crosley tall clock radio.
Yeah. Where's the radio hidden on this one?
Just behind the little door right here.
Secret compartment.
So there are the controls.
Well, it almost looks like the same kind of dial as what you'd see on a cathedral radio.
It is very similar, yes. The speaker sits about right there. Clock is there. This has not been restored. This is original condition.
And now the reason we're here is because you've done some restoration work for me on one of my radios.
Yes, I have.
So maybe we can go check that out and see how it's working.
For sure.
And I recognize these. These are the Addison Waterfalls.
Yes.
Bakelite.
Yes.
That's an Addison Courthouse, which I've got one of those. Really rare radio. It's Catalan, which is an early form of plastic.
Correct.
Different and much more rare and desirable than Bakelite by far.
Yes.
And then you've got a Catalan Addison Waterfall right there.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know and you're watching at home, Catalan radios are probably one of the most desirable types of radio that you'll find. These ones are Canadian made, really nice condition. I have one of these at my store, but mine's in great shape, but it's missing the two of these little bars off of either side. Really, really nice Art Deco piece. I can see, is this you that collects the smalls, or is this your?
That's the wife.
I see, so she's got some cats and some tea stuff. But you aren't messing around.
No.
You've got a little bit of a thing for radios.
I do have a bit of a thing for radios.
Now, how many of these are now you repair radios. I can see you've got some stuff going on down here.
Yeah.
You've got some chassis.
These are all high-end audio amplifiers, tube-type amplifiers.
Yeah, these are, like I had one that was a McMurdo Silver Masterpiece. That was chromed and had all the chrome tubes on it. You can always tell the higher end ones usually have a chrome chassis. Well, a lot of times, but that's...
Anybody that knows audio amplifiers will recognize a bunch of these. There's a Scott, Macintosh, Radio Craftsman, Dynaco, Sansui.
Look at all the cathedral radios. Some really interesting little tabletops up there too. And repair manuals, I'm sure those come in handy.
Oh yes, yeah, use them all the time, yeah.
And they call this style more like a tombstone or cathedral.
Yeah.
Because of the style.
Tombstone is taller than wide, is how they got that.
And cathedral is more arch like that.
Cathedral's arch top.
Look how gothic these ones are with the intricate carvings on them.
It's kind of funny, those radios. They were a very economical radio to buy in the day, $29.95. They're molded epoxy and sawdust in a mold to get the nice look.
Yeah.
And usually a very poor quality radio in it.
Really? But they look fancy.
But they look fancy, and for a low price you could get a fancy looking radio.
Wow, they're just absolutely lovely. But at Philco's, I see you don't see that style. You should pop by the shop. I've got a cathedral sitting there that needs some TLC.
Okay.
You probably saw it sitting on the table. But I look at the mass amounts of, I mean, look at everything. That looks like a Scud missile or something.
Well, I fly high power model rockets, and that's part of it.
You're just into all the things.
I like things that fly.
Nice high-end turntable. Is that a customer's turntable
Actually,
down there?
that is the first turntable I ever bought, brand new in the 70s.
Direct drive back in the 70s. That was quite the deal.
I bought that at Radio Shack, but it certainly wasn't made.
Let's see. And what were you listening to last on it? Astral Projector.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you've got eclectic taste.
I do, yes. Yeah. This is the first radio I ever bought.
Is that the one your wife got you that got you started?
This is the one I bought when I was 17 years old. That's the first radio I ever bought.
And you just thought, heck, that's cool. And
Yep.
that's how these things snowball. And then before you know it, you end up with all of this.
$5 at a farm auction.
And I can see, oh, that's kind of neat.
That's a Guild Spice Chest. They were into novelty radios, so they made that. They made the wall phone that's over on the wall there.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
so that wall phone was actually a
That's
radio.
a radio, yeah. You turn it on by lifting the earpiece.
That's so neat. I've never seen. So that is a radio.
That is a radio.
Very unique. And how hard is it to find those novelty radios like that?
They're pretty common. There's quite a few of them.
They're around.
They also made what they call a spice chest. They made a teapot. They made a full-size sit-at roll-top writing desk.
That's funny.
Yeah, they made lots of neat things. Yeah.
Oh, this is another giant rocket just
Another
sitting
giant
here.
rocket.
Yeah, okay.
That's the rebuild. The last flight of this one ended in disaster.
Okay, so fun times and then not so fun.
Not so fun.
You were able to retrieve most of it though?
Yeah, I got that and the payload section and the nose cone.
You are definitely not messing around.
The rest I rebuilt. Yeah.
How do you say that? Fata or Feta?
Everyone I've ever talked to says Feta.
Feta. Yeah. Is that Catalan or Bakelite?
That is, I believe, polystyrene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's an early plastic.
I was way wrong. Beautiful though. They made some Catalan radios though.
They sure did. Yes.
I found one.
These ones are very translucent, so when at night in the dark, if it's turned on, they kind of glow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Quite the variety you've got here. I just look at all these little Westinghouse and you've got all the different colors.
I'm missing 3. There's a yellow, a pink, well, actually 4. Yellow, pink, gray, and black.
Oh, I bet you'll get them. Maybe somebody watching this video will have one and we'll get one your way. Who knows?
It seems the pink one is the holy grail. It's a really tough one to find.
It's like a wonderland of radios and electronics down here, and you've got tons of TVs.
Tons of TVs.
Now, people do collect TVs, they're a little heavier thing to collect,
yes.
But they're really cool. So they started off, well, I mean, what age would this be? 50s probably? 1950. And the first TV was what, around 46 or so? Or?
Well, the first TVs that were readily available for the average person was just after the war, so 46. But you could actually buy a TV in the 30s, but they were only in LA, New York, and Chicago because it was still a test market.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they've gone from looking like this with a tiny little black and white screen and an antenna on top to, of course, your modern flat screen right there. How things have changed. But, you know, I love, I mean, here we've got the wood paneling in the rec room, and these TVs look right at home with the vintage paneling you've got going on down here.
This RCA that you're looking at right now,
yeah,
I got that from the original owners here in Edmonton, and the daughter that sold it to me said that the company they bought it from placed it in their family room, and she said she never ever remembers it moving.
It had been there, so
It
you're...
had been there since 1957.
Now, what's this Pilot radio?
That is a TV.
Look at how small the screen is. I mean, there's the size of my thumb. 3 inches. Wow.
These were manufactured from 48 to about 51.
And what purpose would they have served? Why would they be so small? And
they were marketed to students because you could put this TV on your desk while you're studying and watch TV.
Oh, I see.
You have to be within a foot of it to see it.
They've been distracting kids with TV for years.
Yes, they have.
Ever since they could.
And this TV was the first TV under $100. It was $99.95.
Wow. And so what would a TV like that be worth now?
They run, it depends on the picture tube, because the picture tubes are really scarce in them, because this is the only service that particular tube had. So today you see them in the $300 to $500 range, depending on condition.
Okay. Well, it's a unique piece. I see you've got a bunch of others over here too.
Yes.
Okay, we got to check that out.
Power crafters went into TV. That's General Electric Hot Point. The little red
I see that little red and white one. That's cute. Very 1950s. If I was going to guess, I'd say like 57 to 61, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I don't recall, to be honest, but yeah, you're right.
It's got that rocket kind of 57 Chevy kind of look.
Sure, yeah.
And this Helicrafters, that's, you know, looks like a pretty heavy duty piece of machinery.
Well, Helicrafters was into communication, ham radio type stuff. And of course, when TV became mainstream in the 40s, they got on board like everybody else.
And look at these little I mean, they're not little, but they look like a transistor radio, but absolutely massive. The way that they've done the stitching, this is just what you'd see on like a little transistor or something, but it's a television.
And it is the first transistorized North American made television, 1951.
Wow, and do they still work? Oh, you've got it ready to go right now?
I'll just turn it on, and I'll just turn on my transmitter because you can't get over the signals.
Oh, I see. He's got a special transmitter. You're really set up here. Okay, he's turning that on.
You should get a picture.
Oh, yeah. Well, it kind of projects, so I guess this... Oh, I see. The screen is tiny,
Yeah.
and then it just uses mirrors to make a larger image.
It's a semi-transparent mirror on the front, and then a convex mirror in the back. And projects it out.
Well,
It
isn't
looks
that
bigger
creative?
than it actually is.
So you could take this thing camping with you or to the beach.
It had a rechargeable battery that they said was good for 40 hours, I believe.
Wow, isn't that neat? I just love the fact you've got it working. I guess I can turn that off for you, but
Yep.
isn't that cool?
I haven't restored the brown one yet, unfortunately.
Oh, well, it looks good sitting there.
That one there is a little bit interesting. I got that from a fella in Red Deer.
Yeah.
And in the U.S., Philco and the Miss America pageant shared advertising. So if you, in your Life magazine, you'd see an advertisement for a Philco TV, there would be Miss America displaying it for you. And I didn't know that there was a Canadian connection. And I got this in Red Deer and brought it home.
Oh, I see.
And if you look right there,
It's the Miss Canada model.
it's the Miss Canada model.
Well, and that's got to be a pretty unique piece.
And it came from the original lady that owned it, and she was still watching it.
She was still using
She
it,
was still using it.
watching her old shows on her old TV.
Yeah.
Wow, and of course, I mean, there's so many cool TVs to look at. The ones that people might recognize would be, of course, your Philco Predictus.
Yes.
And that is still a very desirable TV. And I don't know in terms of value what some of these other ones are worth, and maybe you can educate me, but I know the Predicta is still highly desired by collectors.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And mainly because it has that futuristic space age kind of look. Now, this is the floor model. That's a bit more unique. And then actually you don't see them with this stand too often either.
And that is the original Philco issue stand as well. And that is a princess model, that one.
A lot of times when I find them, I get them kind of like, well, I mean, this is even a little bit more on the unusual side. I'll find them kind of like that,
Yeah.
you know, but without the stand.
Yeah. The stands are as collectible as the TV.
I can imagine. Yeah, the Predictas can be thousands of dollars to the right people.
Yes. The Hillsborough Hideaway. The idea back at that time was the living room, all this stuff was supposed to be out of bounds. The ladies didn't want the stuff, so they started building them so they could hide.
So how does it open
This is a
up?
coffee table,
Oh, it's a coffee table that turns
as
into
you
TV.
see, and you just flip this up,
Oh, look at that.
and up pops the picture tube.
Isn't that ever cool?
And then you watch the game or whatever is going on.
It's like a slightly disappointing transformer.
Exactly.
It doesn't shoot rockets. Well, mind you, could shoot rockets. You could equip it pretty easy with all your stuff around here. That's so neat. I've never
And
seen
then
one.
you just tuck it away, and that's the end of that.
That'd be almost practical for today's purposes. Put a little hideaway TV there.
Oh yes, yeah.
Super high tech. So there she is. Okay, so what exactly was wrong with it?
A whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. Well, that's why I brought it to you.
The number one cardinal sin is he used plumbing solder to do his repairs. Plumbing solder has acid core.
Oh, and it rots
and it
everything.
rots everything.
So
there
a
was
lot of
whole
the-
bunch of there was a couple of parts just laying in the bottom of it,
Oh.
not connected. This is everything that I changed out of it.
Wow, that's a... And did you replace it with original vintage type stuff?
No, because that's
It
a
doesn't-
recipe for disaster.
Right, okay.
Because it will fail. And half of these parts are not original to the radio. It's been repaired a number of times.
So that's what had to be replaced. That's what had to come out. That's like the brains of the whole radio.
As
Poor
well
thing.
as the speaker, which is not the original speaker. The original power transformer and speaker are both gone and replaced by something else.
Okay. So it's had a bit of a hard life.
It's had a bit of a hard life, yeah.
But now...
But now, we'll start with just this as the antenna.
Okay, so we got the wire in the back of the antenna. Okay,
Yeah.
lights up.
Turn on, the lights up, yeah.
And then you have to wait for the tubes to get going.
They had unfortunately, they had the wrong dial lights in it, and they burnt holes into the
Oh.
dial scale, which is actually a really common problem. You see that a lot.
Yeah, that plastic doesn't...
It doesn't like the heat.
But overall, it's not in terrible shape,
No,
though.
it's not. Actually, that mirror is probably one of the better ones I've seen.
Now, what I need to find, and I noticed that I'm missing one of these. These just come out.
A bar, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, well, maybe I could get somebody to machine another one of those for me, because it just basically slides in there. But have to find another bar somewhere. Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay, this is no antenna.
Call and Bruce Mortgage Team at 436.
And it sounds good too. Tone is working.
12s and call it.
So it's a full functioning radio now.
Full functioning radio.
That's gonna be great. And this is one I have at my house on display. So now it'd be nice to be able to use it and listen to it.
Yes.
That looks awesome. I'm pretty glad I brought it to you. You definitely look like the right guy to have taken on this project.
Oh, thank you.
So that's it. I got my radio back. Greg's a fantastic guy. And I always find it so important to get to know people in your community that have these sorts of skills, because you never know when you're going to need them. So there it is. It's safe and sound back at home. Fantastic radio, and now it's in fantastic working order. Great combination. So thank you so much, Greg, for getting this radio back in working condition. And that was a really cool collection too. Now I know where to go if I ever find an old TV that I need to sell. I'm going to go see Greg. Thanks so much for watching today's episode, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You can check us out on Instagram at Curiosity Inc. YEG, on Facebook under Curiosity Incorporated, or come visit us live in person at our real live store in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you all soon, and bye for now.